The hill was known as Dalbila, the site for a populous Punic town. After the Second Punic War, the influence of Rome in the Western Mediterranean grew. Ebusim eventually became the Roman Ebusus, a small town on the Mare Nostrum. The Punic population were joined by Latin people. With the fall of the Western Empire, Ibazi was to be ruled successively by the Vandals, Visigoths, and Byzantines. From the 9th century onwards, Ibazi became part of the Emirate and the Caliphate of Cordoba. It was to be an Islamic territory for over 300 years. The importance of the port, its strategic location, and its wealth of salt made Ibazi an important sea trading point in the Muslim Mediterranean. When the Caliphate broke up, it became part of the Taifas of the east of the peninsula and of the Almoravid and Almohad Islamic empires. The island's population converted to Islam. Meanwhile, new citizens from many ethnic origins arrived from all over the Maghreb. Islam brought with it an agricultural revolution. Olive farming spread everywhere. There also appeared small vegetable garden areas where water resources were available. New crops such as rice and oranges, and new techniques including the building of irrigation channels and water mills were also introduced. Ibazi became a military and pirate base from which to raid the coasts of feudal neighbours. It was nevertheless also an important and safe port. Its wealth in salt made it constantly appealing for trade. The streets became souks where the craftsmen sold their products. Archaeological finds from Ibazi reveal rich Andalus pottery and show the strength of commercial relations with Peninsular Al-Andalus. The Islamic Mediterranean brought important new technical and scientific developments to the west. Ebusim was given the name Madina Yabisa. At the top end of the Dalbila hill was the Al-Mudaina, the residence of the civil and military governor, and probably the main mosque. Further down were two walled compounds that contained most of the housing. The lowest compound stretched right up to the port. The current streets of Dalbila correspond directly to those of the Islamic Medina. The whole of the town's perimeter was fortified, and there were even compounds that isolated sectors of the town. If a compound was occupied, its defenders could withdraw into the upper compound. The walls had solid square towers that enabled attackers to be assaulted from the side. In 1114, the army of the city of Pisa and the feudal forces of Count Ramon Berenguer III of Barcelona organized a crusade to attack the cities of Mallorca and Ibazi in order to strengthen their supremacy in the Western Mediterranean. The Crusaders, who used war machinery, took the city after a difficult siege. They sacked it, caused destruction, and then abandoned it. At the time of King James I, the Catalan-Aragonese crown began its great expansion in the Mediterranean and conquered Mallorca and Valencia. Ibazi was taken in 1235 by a powerful Catalan army. Tradition holds that the attacking forces penetrated the town in the western zone through a corridor that is now the site of the chapel of San Siria. They took the Almudaina on the 8th of August. Ibazi was then incorporated into the Aragonese crown, and its association with Al-Andalus became history. With the Aragonese crown, Ibazi remained a prosperous port that experienced some difficult times, such as the attack of Peter the Cruel of Castile in 1354. In the second half of the 15th and the start of the 16th century, the Catalans kept the Islamic compound, added new towers to it, and constructed new emblematic buildings, such as the Cathedral of Santa Maria and the seats of the Council of the Curia. Ibazi was thus turned into an advanced sea frontier that faced North Africa. Charles I and Philip II decided to build new walls that were adapted to new technology in artillery. In the 17th and 18th centuries, the town developed outside the marine zone beside the port. And in the 19th and 20th centuries, the spacious new towns that lead to the current town were built.